Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator. Chapter 10. Commuter Capsule in Trouble. Knid Attack Number 1. While Shuckworth, Shanks, and Showler were being chased off of the Space Hotel by the Knids, Mr. Wonka's Great Glass Elevator was orbiting the Earth at tremendous speed. Mr. Wonka had all his booster rockets firing, and the elevator was reaching speeds of 34,000 miles per hour instead of the normal 17,000. They were trying, you see, to get away from that very huge, angry, vermicious Knid with the purple behind. Mr. Wonka wasn't afraid of it, but Grandma Josephine was petrified. Every time she looked at it, she let out a piercing scream and clapped her hands over her eyes. But of course, 34,000 miles an hour is dawdling to a Knid. Healthy young Knids think nothing of traveling millions of miles between lunch and supper, and then another million before breakfast the next day. How else could they commute between the planet Fermis and other stars? Mr. Wonka should have known this and saved his rocket power, but he kept right on going, and Giant Knid kept right on cruising effortlessly aside him, glaring into the elevator with its wicked red eye. "You people have bruised my backside," the Knid seemed to be saying, "and in the end, I'm going to get you for that." They had been streaking around the Earth like this for 45 minutes when Charlie, who was floating comfortably beside Grandpa Joe near the ceiling, suddenly said, "There's something ahead. Can you see it, Grandpa? Straight in front of us." "I can, Charlie, I can. Good heavens, it's the Space Hotel." "It can't be, Grandpa. We left it miles behind us long ago." "Aha," said Mr. Wonka. "We've been going so fast, we've gone all the way around the Earth and caught up with it again. A splendid effort. And there's the commuter capsule. Can you see it, Grandpa? It's just behind the Space Hotel. And there's something else there too, Charlie, if I'm not mistaken." "I know what those are," screamed Grandma Josephine. "They're vermicious Knid. Turn back at once." "Reverse!" yelled Grandma Georgina. "Go the other way." "Dear lady," said Mr. Wonka, "this isn't an automobile on the highway. When you are in orbit, you cannot stop and you cannot go backward." "I do not care about that," shouted Grandma Josephine. "Put on the brakes. Stop. Backpedal. The Knids will get us." "Now, for heaven's sake, stop this nonsense once and for all," Mr. Wonka said sternly. "You know very well my elevator is completely Knid-proof. You have nothing to fear." They were closer now, and they could see the Knids pouring out from the tail of the Space Hotel, swarming like wasps around the commuter capsule. "They're attacking it," cried Charlie. "They're after the commuter capsule." Then it was a fearsome sight. The huge green egg-shaped Knids were grouping themselves into squadrons, about 20 Knids to a squadron. Then each squadron formed itself into a line abreast, with 1 yard between Knids. Then, one after the other, the squads began attacking the commuter capsule. They attacked in reverse with their pointed rear ends in front, and they came in at a fantastic speed. Wham! One squadron attacked, bounced off, and wheeled away. Crash! Another squadron smashed against the side of the commuter capsule. "Get us out of here, you madman!" screamed Grandma Josephine. "What are you waiting for?" "They'll be coming after us next!" yelled Grandma Georgina. "For heaven's sakes, turn back, man!" I doubt very much if that capsule of theirs is Knid-proof," said Mr. Wonka. "Then we must help them," cried Charlie. "We've got to do something. There are 150 people inside that thing." Down on Earth, in the White House study, the president and his advisors were listening in horror to the voices of astronauts over the radio. "They're coming at us in droves!" Shuckworth was shouting. "They're bashing us to bits!" "But who?" yelled the president. "You haven't even told us who's attacking you." "Those dirty, great, greenish-brown brutes with red eyes," shouted Shanks, butting in. "They're shaped like enormous eggs, and they're coming at us backwards." "Backwards?" cried the president. "Why backwards?" "Because their bottoms are even more pointy than their tops," shouted Shuckworth. "Look out! Here comes another lot." Bang! "We won't be able to stand this much longer, Mr. President. The waitresses are screaming, and the chambermaids are all hysterical, and the bellhops are being sick, and the hall porters are saying their prayers. What shall we do, Mr. President, sir? What on earth shall we do?" "Fire your rockets, you idiot! Make a re-entry!" shouted the president. "Come back to Earth immediately." "That's impossible!" cried Schouler. "They've busted our rockets. They've smashed them to smithereens." "We're cooked, Mr. President!" shouted Shanks. "We're done for, because even if they don't succeed in destroying the capsule, we'll have to stay up here in orbit for the rest of our lives. We can't make a re-entry without rockets." The president was sweating, and the sweat ran all the way down the back of his neck and inside his collar. "Any moment now, Mr. President," Shanks went on, "we're going to lose contact with you altogether. There's another lot coming at us from the left, and they're aiming straight for our radio antenna. Here they come. I don't think we'll be able to—" The voice cut out. The radio went dead. "Shanks!" cried the president. "Where are you? Shanks! Shuckworth! Shanks! Schouler! Shoalworth! Shucks! Shanks! Shucks! Shankler! Shankworth! Showell! Shuckler! Why don't you answer me?" Up in the great glass elevator, where they had no radio and could hear nothing of these conversations, Charlie was saying, "Surely their only hope is to make re-entry and dive back to Earth quickly." "Yes," said Mr. Wonka, "but in order to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere, they've got to kick themselves out of orbit. They've got to change course and head downward, and to do that, they need rockets. But their rocket tubes are all dented and bent. You can see that from here. They're crippled." "Why can't we tow them down?" Charlie asked. Mr. Wonka jumped. Even though he was floating, he somehow jumped. He was so excited he shot upward and hit his head on the ceiling. Then he spun around 3 times in the air and cried, "Charlie, you've got it! That's it! We'll tow them out of orbit! To the buttons, quick!" "What do we tow them with?" asked Grandpa Joe. "Our neckties?" "Don't you worry about a little thing like that," cried Mr. Wonka. "My great glass elevator is ready for anything. In we go! Into the breach! Dear friends, into the breach!" "Stop him!" screamed Grandma Josephine. "You be quiet, Josie," said Grandpa Joe. "There's someone over there that needs a helping hand, and it's our job to give it. If you're frightened, you better just close your eyes tight and stick your fingers in your ear."